Attack! This is Lo-Fi Thrasher Lenny Blade, and this is the Retro Hunter Thailand show, but not really. I picked up something that may or may not be considered retro. I picked up the legendary 12 DVD box set of Lord of the Rings. But I didn't want to do just a pick up and review video. I wanted to do an episode talking about Tolkien and what his writings have meant to me as I grew up. I'm a huge Tolkien fan, has been for as long as I can remember. I got a couple of people sort of responsible for that. My siblings, actually. I will talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, so this will be the Tolkien episode. Alright, and down at the table here I will give you a little sweep of all the book media of the Middle-earth license, or Tolkien's writings that I have. And the first one here that you can see is Adventures in Middle-earth, which is probably my favorite setting for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I know it's cheating a little bit because it's not a Dungeons & Dragons specific setting, but whatever. I've ran this for I ran it for almost 2 years. Very long campaign. And here you can see some of the other books that I have by Tolkien, or Tolkien related at least. So the only one, oh yeah, and here are the David Day books. And these are gorgeous looking books. However, David Day is sort of loved and hated by Tolkien fans because he was an early licensed writer in the Middle-earth universe, and he took a lot of liberties with the IP, so that many people don't like his writings. These are my own laminated maps for Adventures in Middle-earth, and some battle grids as well. I just printed them out and laminated them just so they would be easy to just pull out and present to my players whenever that situation came up. That's one of the good things about these books, is that they came with all these maps, so you could just print them and laminate them just like I did. I also have a map pack. Actually, I have doubles of the map pack and a few other books too, just because I liked this series so much. And this is the Dungeon Master screen, and this painting is probably the nicest painting I've ever seen on a Dungeon Master screen. This is of Lake Town, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And on the back here, unfortunately, you have the setting specific rules mostly. I guess because they didn't want to have one panel just full of the TSR license, or the WotC license. There is nothing like looking if you want to find something. That's one of my favorite quotes from The Hobbit, and that was by Thorin Oakenshield. This is the only book that I brought with me from Sweden, and this is actually my sister's book. It's the Swedish version of The Hobbit, Bilbo and Hobbits Äventyr. Yes, so Bilbo was... The Hobbit, the book, it was actually called Bilbo in Sweden, which is pretty cool. This particular edition also features Tolkien's own illustrations, which I think is pretty cool. This was published in 77 or 78, so it's been with me. I borrowed it from my sister when I was a child, and I just never gave it back. Sorry, sis. And yeah, and it got the maps and everything in the back. I love this book probably more than any other book. And then I've got the English version of The Hobbit. This is a newer version, and it's sort of a double book set. So you've got part 1 and part 2. I guess they were influenced by the movies. Oh yeah, let's make a 3-part movie about a small little novel. But hey, Lord of the Rings classic, the Tolkien Reader, which has some short stories and his famous essay on fairy stories, which is really cool.
some other writings by Tolkien, early writings, the shaping of Middle-earth, how his ideas became Middle-earth, and then of course the Lays of Beleriand and the Book of Lost Tales 1 and 2. And The Dark Powers of Tolkien is probably my favorite David Day book, and it talks all about all the bad guys in Tolkien's world. As you can see, the artwork is second to none. You know, they go into where he got the inspiration from. You know, David Day is like, he has researched all this stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, maybe he got you know, the ideas from, you know, Old Norse or Greek mythology and the Beowulf and all those old stories, and goes into detail about all the dark stuff. This is the Dictionary of Tolkien, which is self-explanatory. This is an Atlas of Tolkien. This book I used a lot when I ran Adventures in Middle-earth. It's extremely useful for that. And this is one of my favorites, the Battles of Tolkien. They go into, you know, the battles of the 5 armies, the Battle of the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, the Siege of Minas Tirith, like all of these. And they have the maps, and then they have, you can see all the different forces and who commanded them and how they maneuvered and what happened in the battle. And yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Again, filling in a lot of the blanks, of course, you know, taking liberties, but still, it's very cool. I mean, all of these books are very useful if you're a lore master in Adventures in Middle-earth, or The One Ring, or any other, you know, MERP, or any other Lord of the Rings based role-playing game. Speaking of which, let's just take a quick look in a few of the Adventures in Middle-earth books, because they are really cool. As you can see, the art style is a mixture between these paintings, which are like almost like water paintings, watercolor paintings, and then they mix those up with this pencil sketch art, which looks great together, I think. So all of these, this particular book is the Lore Master's Guide, and that's what a Dungeon Master is called in Adventures in Middle-earth. They're called Lore Masters, and it's got everything that a regular Dungeon Master guide has, basically. Adversaries, a detailed look at Lake Town and everything. All of these books are great. The Mirkwood campaign is a very special book. It spans 30 years of in-game time, so it's definitely a huge campaign. And it comes, you know, you can fight Nazguls, you can meet Gandalf and Elrond and all of these characters that you remember from the books, right? It should probably also be mentioned that the Adventures in Middle-earth books are based on the books, not the movies, not the Peter Jackson movies. Tolkien fans are a little bit divided in terms of Peter Jackson. Most like Peter Jackson, the Peter Jackson movies. I do as well. But the movie that I like the most is actually the 70s version, because I grew up with it. The Bashki or Bakshi version, or whatever it's called. My brother showed it to me when I was very young, and that really, it blew my mind. Like, it still does. Like, I still think it has a unique style that hasn't been matched since. But anyways, yeah, so I just wanted to talk about Tolkien. So, yeah, see you next time.